Hello, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, coming to you from the southwest corner of Washington State, 2,454 miles from Little Caesars Arena. Now, speaking of LCA, the Red Wings were back in action last night, second day in a row at Little Caesars Arena, and lost 4-1 to the Utah Mammoth. Now, this was only the second regulation loss in 10 games for the Red Wings, so let's not throw a panic or anything. The Red Wings were we were all hoping that with the Mammoth also being in their second game in 2 days, that they might have been the ones that slip up a little quicker and the Red Wings capitalize it, but that's not the way it happened. They scored a goal quick, basically added another one a little bit more into the game as it drew farther and farther into the game. Red Wings hadn't scored a goal yet. They finally do score a goal, make it 2-1, but basically not enough because the two late goals really sealed it for the Mammoth. One positive to look at from the game is the fact that the Red Wings were 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. They were 1 for 4 on their power play. And that goal, this is another positive of the game, was scored by Emmett Finney. So the rookie Finns has 8 goals. He's fourth in the team as far as goals scored. Alex DeBrincat's obviously number 1. Larkin's number 2. Lucas Raymond's number 3. And we have this rookie at fourth with 8 goals. Now, let's not sound the Calder Trophy siren too soon and too prematurely, but I'm really liking this kid. I like the fact that we got these young rookies. In fact, one of the reporters said in the post-game press conference when they interviewed Finney, is like, imagine that we were thinking you guys would be in Grand Rapids around this time of year, and here you are on the front line, basically up here in the bigs and scoring goals. So they recognize it. We all recognize it. So kudos to Finney for scoring yet another goal. Obviously, he didn't, prove to be the difference or anything like that. Still lost 4-1, but that's something you can really lift your head up about moving forward into the next 2 games that we're going to have against the Capitals, is that we have a young guy scoring, and he's still holding up here. 35 games into the season, our rookie's got 8 goals. So that's really something to talk about. Unfortunately, on the other side of that is something to talk about is Talbot has lost 6 straight starts. He hasn't won since beating Columbus almost a month ago. And that was that game where the Red Wings fought back and won in overtime against Columbus. So, he had started the season 9-2. He's 0-4-2 in his last 6. Kind of going through the same thing that we were seeing with Gibby. Gibby had gone almost a month without winning a start, and now he's hotter than hell. And basically I don't think has lost a game in regulation in quite a while. So we're seeing a tale of 2 goaltenders. One's, when one's up, the other's down. Kind of the opposite. They flip it again. One's down, the other's up. We'll see moving forward how that translates. But hopefully Talbs can really start to make the turnaround on this, because there's going to be yet another game, 2 games in 2 days this weekend with the Capitals, Saturday and Sunday. So here's to Talbs maybe turning this ship around and righting it. All right, so we're going to add a new segment in this episode. It's called The Hot Tea. We're going to talk a little bit about the gossip. Now, there's rumors and then there's discussion. This one's going to be a rumor that was really exposed. So Marco D'Amico, reporter for the Montreal Canadiens, basically talking about Los Angeles Kings forward Paul Deneau, saying that he wants a trade. Now, what are the teams listed that he wants trade? Well, guess what one of them is? Yeah, Montreal. So this is all basically put out there on social media, and Deneau's agent, his name is Alan Walsh, basically just claps back at him hard and calls him shameful, attention-seeking reporting. This really reminds me of a great scene in the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. Al Pacino is my favorite actor, and he was nominated for Best Actor in this particular film. And if you haven't seen Glengarry Glen Ross, I would highly recommend it for certain scenes that star Alec Baldwin, for one, but anytime Pacino's in this, it's just great. And there's a scene towards the end where he is just really letting Kevin Spacey's character have it. And this is his quote. He says, "You never open your mouth until you know what the shot is." And I can just picture Alan Walsh standing there like Al Pacino, looking across to Kevin Spacey, and in this sense, Marco D'Amico, and saying, "You never open your mouth until you know what the shot is." And clearly, obviously, that's bounced back hard against Marco D'Amico, and for good reason. I mean, like, just throwing that stuff around on social media, you're gonna get clapped back. So whatever. But that's been the hot tea. But it being Thursday, let's move on to a segment that you're a lot more used to, and that's Throwback Thursday. For today's Throwback Thursday, one of my favorite all-time Red Wings games was Game 7 of the 2002 Western Conference Final. Now, leading up to that game, let's remember Forsberg scored a goal in overtime in Game 5 to put the Red Wings in a 3-2 hole to the Colorado Avalanche. So going back to Colorado, the Red Wings, this team that was chock full of future Hall of Famers. And as I start reeling off these names for this Game 7, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, he was on that team too. And the list is just going to keep going. And it's going to get to the point where you're just like, please stop. I just can't handle these Hall of Famers in my ear. But so Red Wings losing Game 5 in overtime. But the Avalanche, that game-winning goal in Game 5 would be the last goal they score in that series. Dominik Hasek, there's Hall of Famer number 1, comes in 2 straight games. Game 6 in Colorado, shutout. Game 7 in Detroit, shutout. Now, the real story that everybody's going to remember about Game 7 was Patrick Waugh giving up 6 goals on 16 shots. Looking at him by a goal-to-goal basis, just under 2 minutes in, Thomas Holmstrom gets the first goal. Another minute and 20 later comes Fedorov to make it 2-0. So there we have mentioned now 2 Hall of Famers, Hasek and Fedorov. Midway point of the first period, Luc Robitaille scores a goal to make it 3-0. There's 3 Hall of Famers. Thomas Holmstrom gets his second goal about 2.5 minutes later. And then now we're in the second period. Who scores? Brett Hull, yet another Hall of Famer. Fredrik Olsson, not a Hall of Famer, not a household name like these other ones, but he scores goal number 6. And now to finish it all up, now long past Waugh's time in the crease. This is the backup goaltender by now. About 3 minutes left in the third period, and Pavel Datsyuk scores a power play goal to make it 7-0. So we've already mentioned 5 Hall of Famers there. Another 3 Hall of Famers added assists, and those were Stevie Y, Igor Larionov, and Nicholas Lidstrom. And also factoring in that game and suited up for that game and playing, not scoring any points or anything like that, but having a plus or minus of +1 was Chris Chelios. That is your 9th Hall of Famer. And your 10th Hall of Famer, Brendan Shanahan. Wow. Just something to think about. What a game, if you're a Red Wings fan. Just to watch that. Sometimes you want to feel bad for a player like Waugh, such a storied career. Obviously, he had already won, at that point, 4 Stanley Cups, or maybe 3. He won another one. No, he had one. There was no more Stanley Cups for Waugh after that. I forgot. They won in 2001. So basically 4-time Stanley Cup winner going into this game, and just to get reamed like that. So I would say I feel bad for him, but considering how much of a fan of the blood feud I was, that's just hockey, and that was just beautiful hockey. So now we are going to try something different in today's No Cap section of the show, and we'll call it the No Cap Clapback, because I'm going to do one little bit of a slang translator for Finney and for his post-game press conference moment, but I'm also going to talk a little bit. I'm not really letting up. I'm not really letting it slide today with the reporters, so I'll tell you why. But let's first go to Finn's and his post-game discussion after last night's loss. He did score the only goal for the Red Wings. They straight up owned the net tonight, no cap. Offensively and defensively, we were straight up garbage in our own zone. For real. They were boxing us out, snatching our chances left and right. We've been bricking it in the first. No game loss. Some games we came out sleepwalking. Going to switch that up quick. We got hella dudes who can kill it on the power play. Any night could be a new lineup. Our crew's stacked, and the power play has been low-key fire lately. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of a clapback, because I really do have to say I feel bad for Larks in these post-game press conferences. I'm actually wearing my Larks t-shirt jersey right now. One of my favorite players, and having the load and the mantle, which is being the captain of an original six team like the Detroit Red Wings, he has to put up with questions. And sometimes these questions are, what do you think happened tonight? Or just, and sometimes just like watching him in these conferences, you just feel bad for him. He just can't wait to get the hell out of there. But this is one of the questions that was asked him. And this is why it's part of the no cap clapback. Talking about the night before the Islanders victory, or the victory over the Islanders, the reporter says, "What was the difference tonight that didn't make this one a victory?" And Larks, this is so key and beautiful. Just kind of, this is when somebody says something like this, it's time to just turn off the microphones, turn off the lights of your camera, and walk out of the locker room. So, what was the difference tonight that didn't make this one a victory? Lark's reply, "We didn't score more goals than they scored." It reminds me of when Tim McCarver used to call the World Series. R.I.P. Tim McCarver. But it's like, we didn't score more goals than they did. They won the game because they had more goals than we did. What's the difference? We didn't score as many goals. I love Larks for that response. I just love it sometimes when, obviously, that quote, whether or not it goes into the paper, it's not going to really symbolize or represent the tone that was there and the visible dismay, I guess you would say, on Larks while he's answering it. But I do have to, feel for the Cap sometime. I will feel for the Cap. I won't feel for Waugh and his 351 career, 531 career wins. But I will feel for Larks when he has to answer questions like that. So, with it being just a week before Christmas, I just wanted to thank you all for all the viewing. These videos are getting up in the thousands and stuff like that every day, so let's keep it up. Please subscribe, please like, please comment, please share. Another real quick plug. I've mentioned before, I'm the author of The Voices of Hockey, Broadcasters Reflect on the Fastest Game on Earth. Just so you know, the book just came out in Audible just a few months ago. And if you guys are really stressed about getting a gift to a loved one in time, and you're now a week out from Christmas, you know what? Gift them an audio copy of the book. You won't have to worry about the mailman getting there or not. You just have to worry about the email getting over there. So email them a voucher. Give them the gift that keeps on giving, at least for 12 hours. So this has been Red Wings Daily. I'm your host again, Kirk MckNight, and LGRW from the PNW.